Good morning. It's Sunday, September 27th, and I'm very angry this morning. And every American should be angry at this attack on our electoral process. Every American in this country should be angry at that attack. 45 times we have elected a president, and never has there been anything like Trump is complaining about. Never has there been anything even remotely suggested like this deed. It is my hope that he be destroyed at the ballot box for even thinking about such dastardly deed. So when I think about this, and I look at this country, I am sorry to report that this country is coming apart at its seams. And who is tearing it apart? Not a foreign government, not a natural disaster, not a war, none of those. It is our president who is sowing discord across our great nation. He cannot stand the thought of losing the election. So he has concocted a monumentally false narrative that the election process will be rigged, because in his fragile, warped mind, he can never lose. He is, after all, the great deal maker. The great cheater says that the Democrats are going to cheat. And he says that without compunction. The Democrats are going to cheat. There's never, ever been anything that has been brought up that indicated that the Democrats did anything else. However, I believe that Donald is the great cheater. How can I say that, you ask? I say that because we, the people, have not seen his tax returns, which are probably loaded with false data. Now, because of his baseless, false rhetoric, the Republicans at the state and local level are moving to make it more difficult for voters to cast a ballot, more difficult for states to count votes, and more likely that tallies will be challenged in the courts, with a particular focus on the mail-in voting, which is being dramatically scaled up this year because of the coronavirus. This is an important rant. This is about the President of the United States going right at one of the pillars of our democracy. Without evidence. You've got to have evidence to make a case for election fraud. Trump has been falsely saying for months now that the influx of mail-in ballots as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic are ripe for fraud. He had the balls to suggest that the results of the election may never be accurately determined. And he suggested that the Supreme Court would determine the outcome of the election. Of course, he wants that after his Supreme Court nominee is potentially seated. But in the meanwhile, we haven't seen any evidence. And then the president went a step further on Wednesday when he was asked if he would accept a peaceful transition of power. He said, well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know, that's bullshit. The man should keep his mouth shut. His position should be, of course I'm going to accept the peaceful transfer of power. I think the things that he says are just trying to show that he's a tough guy to his alt-right base. Now, we have to give credit to the Republicans on Capitol Hill who dismissed the notion that a peaceful transition won't occur. But several embraced the idea that the courts would have to decide the election. But no Republican challenged Trump's fantasy of a rigged election. There's not one Republican that has come forth and said, what are you talking about, Donald? What kind of rigged election? We haven't seen a rigged election in 250 years. Why are you saying these crazy things? I don't know why I would expect any Republican to challenge Trump's statement out in the open, because Republicans are taking steps that could make it more likely that the election results are going to be disputed. There may be lawsuits and efforts that could slow down the absentee vote count or question its legitimacy. One state party official in Pennsylvania suggested that the state legislature could determine who won the election rather than the state's popular vote if it took too long to count the votes. So imagine that. You have a system in place which you control, so you could easily make it too long to count the votes. All you got to do is have less people opening their envelopes. So there's a lot of holes in this mess right now. And the Republicans are trying their best to complicate the process. And we know that many of these Republican states have a lot of rules that prevent minorities from voting. So the bottom line for me is, I don't believe we will have any fraud in this election. However, I won't rule out the fact that many Republican states are going to do everything they possibly can to limit the electorate to those people that they're pretty sure are going to vote for the president. I don't know how they'll do it, but we know in the past that there have been rules set up in many states that limited the number of people who could vote. So I don't think there's going to be outright fraud, but I don't discount chicanery on the parts of local governments. And I don't know what we could do about that. So I want you all to get out there and vote. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. I have faith in the people of this country. I think most of us are fed up with what's gone on for the last 4 years. I know that I have friends on the right who consider themselves conservatives, and I don't have any problem with conservatives. I have a problem with the far, far right and a problem with the far, far left. So I say that. Think about it. Watch the presidential debate on Tuesday. That may help you make up your mind. And have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.